and welcome to the Sabi Sands, to Djuma and Arathusa here in South Africa. We have got an exceptionally hot day today, probably the hottest day and most humid day that I've experienced since we've been here. So that's something to bear in mind, especially considering what we can expect the animals to be doing for the first few hours of this drive. And what you can see, that Jason, who is on camera again this afternoon, will show you, are some impala, and just like us, for now, they have taken refuge in a small little shady area there. Now, these poor impala, I'm pretty sure it was the same individuals from this herd, were chased yesterday by the wild dog. Possibly different wild dog, well, definitely different wild dog to the ones we saw this morning. We were very fortunate this morning. For those of you who weren't with us, we did manage to follow some wild dog for about an hour and got some great entertainment from them. We even did manage to see them hunting a different herd of impala. But yesterday afternoon, when Mark was out on drive, he managed to also find some wild dogs. So those were the ones that were chasing the impala of this area. And not good news for the impala that the wild dog are in town, but for us it really is wonderful. To get 2 sightings of wild dog in 2 consecutive drives is a real bonus. These impala now, you can see, have ventured out into the sun, but I'm sure they are just moving from one patch of shade to the next. The plan for this afternoon, folks, due to the heat, is to start off by heading from waterhole to waterhole in the hope that we'll find some animals enjoying the cool water for drinking, for bathing. What would be ideal is if we managed to find some elephant swimming, and that is what I'm hoping for. But as a starting point, we will be heading off to 2 different waterholes, initially Treehouse Dam and then Twin Dams, and see what we find along the way. But the main goal for this afternoon's drive is to head back to the area where the wild dog were last seen this morning. They didn't move far from where. With a bit of luck, we'll be following wild dog in the cooler hours of the evening. Due to the heat at the moment, I don't think they will be active for at least an hour. We always can get it wrong out here with predicting what the animals are going to do, but I feel safe that going to Treehouse and Twin Dams would probably be the most beneficial for us initially, and then we'll head on north from there, in the hope that we shall find the wild dogs. We might spend a bit of time with them when they're doing nothing, if we are lucky enough to find them, with the hope that they'll then wake up, do their ritualistic greeting, and then head off hunting. They didn't have any luck this morning on their hunt, so they will be hungry, and hungry wild dogs are the most entertaining form of wild dogs we can see, because they will hopefully be taking us on a hunt with them. Okay. We're in the quarantine clearings now, and I just thought we should drive through these clearings in the hope that we could potentially find a leopard lying up in one of the beautiful marula trees that dot this open clearing. There were tracks of a female leopard heading in this vague direction this morning, so by moving through areas where you know animals' tracks have been seen, or heading towards at least an area, you're just simply increasing your chances of hopefully bumping into them. For any of you that may be new on Safari Live, it's important to know that it is an interactive safari, so you can ask us questions at any given stage. And to do that, you would hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, and or questions at WildEarthTV on email. We really do appreciate your questions, so keep them coming through, and we try and answer as many of them as we can. Well, folks, I may sound like a broken record player regarding this subject. I don't know how many times I've spoken about it, but one of my favorite things to do, one of my most exciting things to do out here is to spot a leopard in a tree. And in heat like this, I think our chances are increased greatly in finding a leopard up a tree, simply because the elevation allows them to get more of a breeze. And beautiful shot, Jason. And on top of the cool breeze they get, they are also not blanketed by grass or any foliage on ground level. So do be sure to keep your eyes peeled into these trees, any trees, but specifically the marula trees, which have got very large characteristic horizontal branches, as we may get lucky. Things to look for are the vertical tail hanging down, or 4 vertical limbs hanging down from a horizontal branch, and a very abnormal shape or silhouette to see in a tree is something growing vertically down when they typically grow upwards in search of sun. So that is something that will aid in seeing it up a tree, looking for that abnormal form or shape, as opposed to looking for a beautiful golden cat with black rosettes. To give you an idea of the heat we're feeling, the only way I could describe it is, if you know when you open up an oven and you get the flush of hot air coming out, that kind of feels similar to what we're driving through at the moment. Very hot oven air. So it is important for us to keep hydrated out here. So as I said, folks, it's Jason on camera and Alex is in control. Viam and Mark have had the day off, so they've just been relaxing back at Manuleti. We'll be catching up with them a little bit later this evening for a debrief on their day. I don't think I have mentioned to you folks, but 2 days ago I saw my first carmine bee-eater. It's an exceptionally pretty bird, and they are migratory, so they have just started arriving back into the area, which is wonderful. They, like I say, are an incredibly beautiful bird, so that is something to look forward to seeing. The carmine bee-eater, not necessarily this afternoon, but at some stage we will be sure to be able to find one for you, considering that they have got back. They're intra-African migrants, so they come from Central Africa, North Africa for our summer. Even though the chances of finding predator tracks are quite slim at this stage of the day, due to the sun being vertically above us, other vehicles may have driven over these roads, therefore covering the tracks of any predators that were in all likelihood moving last night. I will still keep checking at major road junctions for any signs or clues that predators may have been moving in the area, even if it was last night. But despite me having said that it is incredibly hot today and that it's not likely for predators to have moved, that doesn't mean that they haven't, and especially young leopards or young predators like Quarantine and Djuma, 2 young male leopards. They're 2 years old now. They've just been kicked out by their mother Karula. It's a tough time of life for them, because now they're having to rely on themselves for hunting and feeding, which may pressure them to move in hotter times of the day. We can hardly even hear any birds calling, which is strange. And again, just an emphasis on the heat we're experiencing. Most of the animals are going to be doing as little as possible now, unless we get lucky and find some swimming or wallowing at any potential water holes. Hence our decision to start off by checking Treehouse Dam and Twin Dams. What have we got sitting in the tree over there? It's just a bird. And I'm not sure if it is sitting on a nest. That appears to be a nest, but it could simply be... Oh, awesome, it is a nest, and I can see the tiny little chicks below the mother. That is crazy. Okay, you can see the little chick bobbing its head there. Look, there's the other one. Look at that. Awesome. Now this is a white-crowned shrike, folks, and its nest is just in the most, not bizarre place, but it's not very well concealed there. It has made a very pretty nest. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and get us a little bit closer, because we've got an incredible opportunity to see a tiny little chicks poking their heads up, and there is a bit of a natural The white-crowned shrike, also known as the southern white-crowned shrike nest. And apologies for the breakup. What we have here is an incredible sighting of a bird that has, with intense skill, managed to create this nest in the outer fork of this tree. They have used cobwebs. I'm not sure if you did manage to copy that audio when I was transmitting or mentioning about the nest building characteristics of these animals. And it is the male that builds the nest entirely, and he may have one or two helpers out of a flock, but it's predominantly the male that builds the nest. And with the aid of cobwebs, they manage to create a very fine, neat cup that we can see this individual sitting in. And what I've realized is that the way the bird, the adult, be it the mother or the father, is sitting in the nest, she's there to act as an umbrella due to the heat that it would be beating down and otherwise probably burning the chicks in that nest. So she has flared her wings ever so slightly, and she is standing with the sun behind her and therefore creating an umbrella effect over her youngsters. They sadly seem to think that she's in a position to be feeding them, so they keep raising up their little heads in the hope of getting a small meal. But she's sitting there, beak ajar, sweating essentially, so she's hot. She's got her cooling system up and running, and she's just being a good mother, or he's being a good father, keeping the youngsters well shaded from this harsh African sun. Now these animals do come a very long way. They are Palearctic migrants, so they certainly do cover huge distances to be here for our summer. They sadly don't say where exactly they do come from. But they are Palearctic migrants, so coming all the way from somewhere in Europe in all likelihood for our summer, and to nest in this beautiful environment that we are so lucky to be witnessing right now. I'm really impressed with the skill involved in building this little cup-shaped nest. It looks perfect from here. So a good nest builder and good parents, the white-crowned shrikes, as we can see. Well, this is a great one to follow in the future, folks. We, I think, can assume that these chicks are only a few days old, judging from their lack of feathers and very small size. They look completely bald from the little glimpses that I keep getting of them. And won't it be nice to watch them grow up and eventually fledge from this nest, provided they aren't harassed by any predators. It would be so nice to see one of the other adults, be it the mother or the father. I'm not sure what this one is here that we can see sitting on the nest, but it would be so nice if one came back to feed the chicks. But I think our chances of that happening will be far greater in the morning or later on this evening when it has cooled down. Because as you can hear, folks, other than the cicadas, the bush is abnormally quiet. Oh, look, there it is. Look, 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 look. This is awesome. There we go. So It looked like it did drop a little morsel of food down, and look at all their little heads up there begging for food. There's 3 of them definitely. So at least 3 little chicks. And I love it when nature proves me wrong, like it just did now after me having said that it would be unlikely. Oh, there's 4 of them! Look at them going for it, begging, starving. And so important, folks, for them to compete for food. With all young animals, we can experience behavior like this, be it lion, leopard, hyena. They have to compete furiously with their siblings to ensure that they get the most food. And that is how nature ensures that only the strongest and toughest survive. Look at them. That is incredible. Where have the adults gone now? I can't see the adults anymore. They did fly into a different section of that tree temporarily. Oh, this is wonderful. Hard to believe that there are 4 young chicks in there, and I don't know how there's going to be space for all of them in the coming week or so as they do grow up, but there could be a few casualties from other predators. Simple competition between the siblings. You may find that 1 or 2 of them are bigger and stronger than the other 2 and may outcompete them to a point of death. And whether they toss them out of the nest on purpose or by mistake or simply outcompete them at feeding time, it will be interesting to see whether all 4 of them survive. Okay, I can see an adult on the lower branches of this acacia tree, and I just want to give it a few more minutes. With a little bit of luck, we will get the adult flying back up to the nest, and then that pandemonium as all the youngsters try and compete with one another for food. Hoping to try and get a few photos of this, but sadly my lens doesn't have the appropriate power required to get close enough to them. But I certainly will fire off a few shots when the adult does return, which I'm hoping won't be too much longer from now. As you can see now, the chicks do appear to have calmed down and are no longer wasting energy trying to compete for food as persistently as they were a bit earlier. But what I can assure you, as soon as they do land, or the adult does land back up in that tree, we'll be spoiled with another great view of them all poking their heads up and opening their beaks, hoping to get a morsel of food. Although, again, they appear to be proving me wrong. Oh, here we go. No, no food, just umbrella. Okay, folks, well, what a great sighting, and what a great thing to know about. But I think it's time to continue. Myself and Jason need a little bit of a breeze. We are baking here, and time to see what else we can find. But I'm really happy with that, folks. We've got a great nest that we can now come back to over the coming weeks and share the growth of these young southern white-crowned shrikes with you. Good, well that was a little bonus, considering I thought we were going to be battling for good content for the first hour of this drive. Due to the heat, we struck it lucky there. Oh, sorry. Too busy looking for animals and not watching the road. Romeo, are you drinking enough water?
Bottle and a half down.
Well done. Water, give me water. Oh no, don't do that. Well, what you'll be able to see here, folks, is a shiny, glistening warthog charging off into the undergrowth, and it was wallowing in a small mud wallow, keeping cool. Just a quick radio test. Still copying me? Okay. It is really a wonderful thing about this time of year that we are spoiled with a lot of young animals. Most of the animals do breed at this time of the year in the summer. Other than predators really, major predators, most birds and most herbivores do give birth at this time of the year, and that does allow us great sightings of baby animals, baby birds like we've just seen. So the bush really is alive at this time of the year, whereas in winter we certainly don't have the same colors and the same amounts of new life in the area. So it's something that we really enjoy about the summer. There are certainly pros and cons to all of the seasons. Here we go, Jason, that might help you. Jason's just fixing the antenna that may well have come loose during this morning's wild dog chase. When they were hunting, we traveled faster than we probably should have, but we didn't have an option. We did need to try and stay with them to keep you guys in the loop and try and keep a decent shot and angle on them. So the antenna may have come a little bit loose, so we're doing some running repairs here. But as I was saying, there are pros and cons to every season, so I find I'd be more inclined to choose winter as my favorite season, simply because the weather is a little bit less harsh and more enjoyable. It does get very cold in the mornings, but with the cold you can put on layers. With the heat, sadly we cannot take off layers. Well, we could, but it wouldn't be very professional. But it is interesting to see this area as the seasons change over the months. All good. Well done, Romeo. Look at that one buffalo, it's almost completely under the water, like a submarine. We will show you this shortly, folks. I'm just trying to choose the best spot for us to enjoy the sighting from, and the best spot is a shady spot. I've never seen a buffalo so far underwater. It's literally just got its nose out like a little snorkel. And we will show you it very shortly. Well, no we won't, because there's another one in the way. But as you can see, folks, these buffalo are telling us one story, and one story only, that it's hot outside and that they're loving the cool, refreshing water. Good time of year for the terrapins, which are small turtle-like animals, because they have all the ectoparasites that live on these buffalo that they can feed on while the buffalo are lying in the water. And what we'll do is, if Jason, you see this one closest to us on the right? There is a little terrapin swimming along the side of it. There we go. There we go. Okay, good. You can see the little head poking up towards the rump now, folks. You can just see, and there's another one on the other side. So small little terrapins looking for ticks, ectoparasites, blood-sucking parasites that they can pull off and feed on. The same individual that we are looking at now really is a beautiful one. He is in great shape. Sadly, the initial buffalo that was submarining has changed its position, but there's another one that Jason will show you now. Really, I mean, it's chewing the cud with a mouthful of water each time, which is cool to see. You can see it's really just loving being in this water. Oh, look at the woodland kingfisher quickly in the tree here. Look at this for coloration, folks. This is the beautiful, perfect, oh, well done. Beautiful, perfect sunlight that we do hope to show them. And oh my word, well done, Jason, great filming. I don't know how on earth you managed to stay with that, but you did, so well done. So folks, that is the woodlands kingfisher. We can hear it calling now. And it's been a bird that all of the presenters have been trying to show you guys for weeks and weeks now, but always battling to find them with the right angle and the right sunlight. And that over there was one of the better views I have seen of one. Sure. What have we done wrong? Getting some serious attitude from this individual. Not sure exactly why. Maybe it could smell the scent of, it's highly unlikely though, of wild dog, considering we were following them this morning. But unless you drive over predator dung, it's unlikely that they will be able to simply smell the fact that you've been around them. But wild dog do have a very pungent smell, and animals do have a very good sense of smell, so possibly, or maybe it's just not wanting to share Treehouse Dam with us today. Okay, one thing I've noticed while we've been sitting here is this colony of village weavers' nests, and there appear to be a lot more nests than there were initially when we started viewing them and watching them build these nests. And there you can see. Now if you just go up a little bit more and to the right. Okay, there we go. So now you can see, folks, the top right nest there. There's a massive cavity kind of on the side of it. Now that's not the entrance hole. The entrance hole would have been below that. What that is an unsatisfied female letting the male know that his work is substandard, so she tears a hole in it, making it impossible for him to repatch, and he would have to start again from scratch. So a lot of the nests that we can see would have been failed attempts by the males, and they've subsequently been ripped open a little bit by the females, and been tasked with starting again, and I'm sure we would find more that have been ripped open or sometimes actually ripped completely down. So not an easy thing, building nests up to the... Oh, here's the woodlands kingfisher again. Well done. Now as they land, folks, they very often hold their wings out and display their beautiful bright turquoise blue, and they can often display one side. If for example this one we're looking at, it would be displaying to everything behind it, but then they do a little 180 hop and then, oh, wonderful. Jeez, I think Jason had some kind of a stimulant this afternoon before afternoon drive to get him to be quick enough to pan and get those great shots. That was the woodlands kingfisher not feeding, rather drinking and wetting its feathers to keep cool. So despite its name being a kingfisher, it's actually an insect eater, the woodlands kingfisher. Beautiful little sandpiper here, which looks like me to be a wood sandpiper. Which is a small aquatic wader. And they are actually difficult to ID, all these different sandpipers and plovers and waterbirds. They can be tricky ones, but this one I am fairly certain to be a wood sandpiper. Okay, well, this is a beautiful scene and setting, folks. We've been spoilt with some great camera work from Jason tracking that woodlands kingfisher, and always good to spend some time with these buffalo bulls. They're very relaxing animals to watch in a scene like this. You can't help but get into their same kind of mentality and mode. Oh, here comes the woodlands kingfisher again. Let's see if it does its special display for us. We'll give Jason one more chance to show off his skills.
Oh, there's pressure.
Yeah, no, there must be pressure. You'll perform under pressure, don't worry. What will it do next? I mean, Jason is now going to be wondering where on earth it'll be going next. My guess would be that it may shoot down into the water for another dip again, but it's hard to tell. The only way to find out is for us to wait and see. But its typical behavior has been that it doesn't spend too long perched there. before it heads off. We can hear another one calling, chick. Brrr. Oh, that's our one calling now. Come on, hold your wings out for us. A lot of competition between the woodlands kingfishers, as you can hear. It sounds like there's about 3 or 4 different individuals calling all around us. The one we haven't shot though is only let off one call as far as I'm aware. Beautiful, that's our one calling now. Oh, now that it turns itself slightly, we get to see a little bit of that beautiful blue color on their body. And I think it's not going to be long before it takes off, so there it goes. Beautiful. Good work. Good work. Well, that's 3 out of 3, Romeo. I think we should call it quits. I don't think you'll be able to do that again for the rest of your career as a cameraman. If I was you, I'd hang up my boots, hang up the camera, call it a day. You've peaked. Wonderful, folks. Well, myself and Jason were a little bit concerned heading out this afternoon as to how we were going to survive this heat and show you a good time, but so far I consider the fact that we've been very lucky with what we've seen. There are a few vehicles that have started searching for the wild dog, and that is all part of our master plan to allow them to find them for us and then simply arrive a little bit later when we can expect to find the dogs a little bit more active. My monitor's just gone black. Oh no, all good. Oh, look at this.
Full of buffalo.
Another very, very nice angle to really give you guys an idea of the setting we're in here. Oh, wonderful. Really cool. There's 3 shadows here that we can see. One a reflection and one a shadow. Okay, good stuff. Okay, now we're going to head off to the next dam and see what's in store for us there. It's not far from here. And then that should occupy us up to a point in time where it'll be useful for us to head back into the area of the wild dog, whether they've been located or not. We need to get into that area to increase our chances of seeing them again. It's so good to be driving around in Zanele again. A few days out of the saddle, we were all starting to get cabin fever, and it's just so nice to have her up and running. She really is a wonderful vehicle, and fingers crossed Jigger will also be up and running shortly, which will aid in us showing you more things, different things, being able to flip between two vehicles. So in the coming weeks things are only going to get better, folks, which is something to look forward to. Folks, we've just seen a unicorn. You would never believe it, but it's true. Very rare, the unicorn. Only seen around this time of the year. Okay, I was only joking. As I'm sure a lot of you picked up, this is just an impala with one horn. It in all likelihood would have snapped off when they were fighting. They do fight between one another for small patches of territory during the rutting season, which is around June in this area. May, June is the kind of rutting season for impala, and they do fight very aggressively amongst one another. I've even found two different impala. I think you can get this butterfly, Romeo. Sorry folks, I'm just trying to make the most of Romeo's very quick. Do I need to go back a bit?
Just go there. Go back.
It's a beautiful, beautiful butterfly.
It's gone.
No, go zoom in.
Oh, there.
We're gonna get this for you, folks. Stand by. Okay. Yeah, you on it there? Nice, beautiful. Now this in all likelihood is an African monarch butterfly, but it could also be a diadem, which has a very similar coloration that it mimics the African monarch, because the African monarchs do have a toxic flavoring that prevents animals from eating them, and then the diadem copies this coloration, beautiful, in order to also prevent being eaten. And it's doing a wonderful job pollinating that little plant over there. I'm not sure exactly what it is that it is pollinating, but it's a small shrub. It's doing a wonderful job. Jeez, those colorations and markings are really, really incredible. I'm just going to try and get a little bit closer around here, so stay on it. Just to try and give it... Oh, we can't go closer than that. Oh, we've pushed the envelope too much. I was just trying to get in as close as possible in order to be able to get you the best view. And now sadly, let's see where it goes after this one. If it comes closer to us, we'll continue. If it flies into a better spot to get the shot. This is just the bull bar that you're catching the edge of here, but there's nothing we can do about that. We want to try and be as close to it as possible. And I think that's good enough for now, folks. Wonderful butterfly sighting. Beautifly. Butterfly and a unicorn. Things are looking up for us. right. Oh, sorry. A little bit bumpy there. Oh, that looked like. No, was it not too big? I think it was a brown hooded kingfisher. This bird just literally took off and flew alongside us from a small bush. Myself and Romeo both have paused to shock his reaction so quickly, and then it was out of sight. We may have a slight issue here, folks, but it will only for seconds. As the turbo will break, but we may have a small. We are approaching, so it'll just be a minute or two before we find out what's on. Hopefully, like treehouse dam activity there. What I'm actually to try them and some piglets. Spoiled with a really cool sighting. We've seen a warthog mother and her two piglets approaching a little mud wallow, and the pig was so excited they sprinted off ahead of the mother. So with a bit of luck we are going to see them with me. We are going to get a great visual shortly. No, don't go anywhere, stay there. I'm hoping they're going to go back in, but even if they don't, what awesome animals, folks. Shame these two piglets that we can see in all likelihood have lost two of their brothers or sisters. They often do give birth to four piglets, and as we can see here, there are only 2 remaining. Such little animals. Just as we're watching them, be ready for the youngsters to just explode off in a certain direction like little rockets. They are really quick and playful, and they do like shoot from side to side with no warning. So again, Jason's got his work cut. And some other showing us. So and they usually run from us and don't. Sorry, please go again with that message. Okay, copy, thanks. They really are feeding very intently here. Focused on nothing else other than food at the moment. They had a very brief mud wallow. I'm not sure if it was the fact that our presence may have disturbed them slightly, but either way, very happy to be showing you this. We have been battling to show you warthogs. There is another family of slightly smaller piglets still. Was it 3 or 4 of them, Romeo?
4.
Yeah, 4 of them. Further north of where we are now, and it is in an area where we will probably be going this afternoon to look for the wild dogs, so we may find them there. Let's hope wild dog don't find them, but we'd like to. So grass seems to be the order of the day. All these fresh shoots there. Often do also feed on roots. They use their little shovel-like noses to dig up. But at this time they are spoiled with a large variety of really good food that they can feed on. In winter they're more pressed to feed on different plants and possibly use their slide to dig up different roots and other plants. This female is really just incredible. Incredible. Why on earth she's coming so close to us, but isn't this great? The vehicle is right here, so now as they run up, you can expect to see the little tails popping up. There they go. Cool. Such cute little animals, these warthogs. So I hope you enjoyed that, and now well, interestingly enough, it appears that Twin Dams has been upstaged by Treehouse Dam, and I'm just going to find a slightly different spot to show the whole dam, but there doesn't even appear to be one visitor here. Now, Is it because there's a predator in the area? I don't know, but that could be a potential reason. Or simply the fact that nobody's home today, which is also just as feasible. So as you can see now, just drove into another slight depression. But Jason, I'll just do a quick pan across to show you that there's no one here, and therefore we shall continue. Folks, I'm going to take a gamble here and drive you through a little section of riverbed. If the signal does cut out, it'll only be for a minute or so before we get out, but if it hopefully doesn't, you'll be spoiled with some beautiful scenery, and also the chance of finding an animal in here is high. It's the lowest lying area, the coolest area we could possibly be looking in now for any potential animals. So we'll just do a little section of this riverbed. It's been a few days since I got my riverbed fix, and it makes sense due to the heat today for us to try it out. So bear with me, but here goes. Okay, copy that. Thanks, Alex. Okay, eyes peeled, folks. We're looking for anything really, anything that comes to mind, anything you'd like to see is what we're looking for. But I'm feeling lucky about this area. I don't know why. Possibly because every time I get into a riverbed, I feel lucky. The aerial there, Romeo. Oh, come on, don't stall. Nearly. I was just trying to elevate myself a little bit there to be able to look up onto the banks of the riverbed. In doing so, I managed to stall. I didn't have my accelerator stick ready to push down on the gas when need be. Oh, it's so nice to find a lip in here now. Yep. There's just a million places where a leopard or any animal could be hiding in here. So you can't see Romeo, but he is scanning just as much as I am. ways to explore that you do up. Adventure, nothing to report other than beauty, scenic beauty. We are back on the highway, heading south. Hope that we are going to have the wild dog this afternoon. So just to recap, folks, if any of you have just joined us recently this afternoon, welcome on board. And we've had an interesting afternoon. The highlight for me was probably seeing some white-crowned shrikes in a tiny little cup nest, 4 babies, and their mother that was creating an umbrella over them, and a beautiful butterfly, some warthog piglets and its mother. What else? A unicorn, a one-horned impala. What are we forgetting? Oh, some great sightings at Treehouse Dam, and some great camera work from Jason, panning along with a Woodlands kingfisher on 3 different occasions, showing you guys some great shots, I thought. Excuse me. And now we are heading south, away from the water holes that we initially checked. Due to the heat this afternoon, we are hoping that the water holes were going to provide us with some good entertainment, and they did. Well, at least one of them did, and one of them I've had absolutely nothing yet. But now we are heading north, apologies, not south, to try and follow up on the wild dog that we did see this morning. We didn't go straight there simply because of the heat. We would on that if we were lucky enough to find them. They'd just be sleeping in all likelihood. So by arriving in the general area in about 15 minutes or so, we are simply increasing our chances of finding them in an active state, or in a state where they're about to become active. So that is the plan, to track down some African wild dogs. We saw a pack of 6 this morning, and it's those same members that we'll be looking for now. We did see them chasing impala this morning, but unsuccessfully. It means that they will be hungry and motivated this afternoon. They almost on a daily basis, I think it's fair to say, because they are such efficient hunters, they can afford to, and just the way they've adapted, they don't gorge themselves like lions and leopards do and then not need to feed for 3 days necessarily. They can keep feeding on smaller meals more frequently due to their high success rates. And sorry, I'm just listening to the radio. Okay, I'm back. Just had some game drive vehicles giving updates there, but it's nothing that concerns us. There have been 3 or 4 vehicles that have moved through the area where the wild dog were last seen this morning, but haven't managed to come up with anything. Which may but in our favor a little bit, because now that it sounds like they've all dispersed, which means if we are lucky enough to find them, we will have the sighting to ourselves, or at least temporarily. And it's not a jealousy thing or that we want to hide anything from anyone, but it simply allows for better viewing in general. If there's only one vehicle, you don't have to take turns in following and or allowing different vehicles to get good angles. You've got free rein. Take turns in following and or allowing different vehicles to get good angles. You've got free rein. I'm going to put the vehicle off this board tomorrow because it prevents any drop coming to the footwell and it's cooking in the seat. So I think fire the door, come off vehicle. And keeping cool. Now, which way are we going to approach? We'll go past WildEarthTV Dam here and then take a little sneaky road back onto WildEarthTV Axe, which will then us the area where we need to try and find these wild dogs. What was that? Did you see that jump there, Romeo? I just saw a splash. Okay, well, WildEarthTV Dam has, just like Charles Dam, a few buffalo, not as many. Enjoying the cool water, enjoying the health spa provided by the little terrapins that feed off ectoparasites on their bodies. It must be an awesome feeling just popping into a dam and allowing the little terrapins to pick off all the little bugs that bother you. Just going to have a quick scan with my binoculars. this stage I cannot see anything hugely exciting. So without further ado, we shall continue. We saw one of these birds this morning, folks, the Burchell's cuckoo. Just want to stay on it. They do hop through these small bushes in search of nests mainly. From my experience, they feed a lot on chicks, but also any small other insects that they can find. But sadly now it has hopped deeper into this thicket and off it goes. Okay. Beautiful, folks. This looks like it's Karula. Ah, this is wonderful. Jackpots. On the way to look for wild dogs, you come across this. It's just a wonderful thing we're looking at here, folks. Just got into the right place at the right time. And it's a female, I can tell. She's got a small body, and I can see she's got a bit of loose skin at the base of her belly. And this therefore means to me that it could be Karula, and she's coming straight towards us. Just you can see that loose flap of skin on her belly there. Very indicative of a female leopard that would have just given birth. And if we're lucky, we may even see the nursing rings where they would have been nursing. What an exceptionally beautiful animal, folks. Okay, now staying with her is going to be tricky. So what we're going to have to do here is, it's very thick, but she is heading straight towards the water hole, and I think the only way for us to get there would be to movement before we lose her. Although actually no, we can't stay with it here, it's just far too thick. Oh, this was a tough one. but I'm going to go with my gut, folks, and try and loop ahead of her, and that way get a good sighting of her approaching the dam. Woohoo! This is incredible. What a good day we've had. Really, folks, we are getting spoiled rotten today. Okay. Now, I know we shouldn't have too much of a problem finding her again. I think she's just going to pop out at the top of the dam here. She could come down any one of the pathways feeding into the dam. I'm just trying to get my bearings and establish which one she's most likely to come down, considering her last movement. Could considering her last movement, which I think could be the path we've just passed over here, but I am going to. Ooh. Okay, so now we have some enough, which certainly try and catch. A lot of pressure to some cubs now, and that is something we're bearing in mind, because if she sees these in you will automatically go into hiding mode, which makes finding for I'm confident we'll manage to find her, folks. It's just going to take a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. The fact that we have these, especially considering the fact that we have this Inyala nearby, and this would mean that you potentially start storing. If she stores them, it's going to make finding her very difficult for us. Oh. Okay. Come on. It's always a difficult thing leaving an animal like we did back there, but it's our own, we would have never been able to stay with her. So the sooner that you access and try and get into position to see them, the better. Thank you. She was heading straight towards where these Inyala were. I'm just going to do another little loop around, folks. If she stores Inyala, therefore I don't assume completely she has done, because she could have easily just have missed them and then continued on her initial path. to do. Romeo, what do you suggest? That's an easy one. It's an easy one. In an ideal world, we would sit and watch the impala in Yala and then she would come out the bush and catch one. But if she doesn't do this, the time we spend sitting with them waiting and hope that she is doing it, we go in another direction. So we're going to just do one more scan back onto the road and then come back to where those Inyala are. I also just want to get my bearings again as to where exactly we saw her, and that way establish that in fact aware of these in lump. They said she certain she is. Okay. Yeah, there's giving me an idea of what's what. Okay. What other trees can I use? That one. That one and that one. That and that one there will be my two bearings. Okay. Back to the Inyala it is, folks. Sorry if I'm not clearly in terms of making any sense, but my brain's working over trying to keep track of her last move, where she could be moving. I really do want to find her again, because Chance is going to try and find something soon. She looked hungry, and also probably 2 cubs that she's raising at the moment. There's the monkey's alarm calling, so they can see her, and if they can see her, it increases our chance of seeing her. Not good for her catching the Inyala, but good for us finding her. Monkeys, we just establish at the top of the tree. Of them. And also be watching very closely as to where they are watching, because they will be watching her every alarming towards her, because they're alarming towards her because she wants little animals to know that she's around as possible. Already worked out that she's here. And they are looking right where they are. So I think she is close to these Inyala, folks. Well, these Inyala will certainly be taking note of the monkey's alarm calls, and they will be slightly more alert than normal, which will make it very difficult for her to to catch any prey. I'm just torn as to what to do now, because she could, like I say, be slinking away from balls, or she could be just paying no attention to them and focused on the Inyala. Just going to continue moving backwards and forwards, folks. It's like I say, she could be doing one of two things: getting away from these alarm calls, or still continuing to stalk these Inyala, which I'm fairly certain she is aware of. I'm trying to get a view of the monkeys that you can hear alarm calling, because they will be following her every footstep through the vegetation, and they do have a good vantage point from up in the top of this jackalberry tree, which we certainly don't have. Where is she? Incredible, standing on his back legs all the way at the top of that tree. That requires some skill. Folks, to recap, if any of you have just arrived, there is a leopard that we have had a brief visual of. I'm pretty sure it was Karula. And she's here. The monkeys are alarm calling at her. We know she's very close by. She's sadly very thick, and she is also in proximity of some Inyala that she could well be stalking this very second. I'm just concerned that because of these monkey alarm calls, she may have abandoned the hunt due to the fact that her cover's already been blown. But we can't be sure that she has abandoned the hunt. The Inyala is still quiet, don't know about her presence yet. The monkeys are increasing the intensity of their alarm calls, and it's important for us to take note of these alarm calls, because the more intense they get, the more likely she's in clearer view of them, or more moving closer towards them. Well done, Romeo. Sorry, thank you. We've got quite a big antenna off the vehicle, which makes life a little bit tricky when we're off-roading, but Romeo's doing a good job preventing it from getting snapped off by any low-lying branches. This leopard will pop out, folks. I'm very confident. So let's just keep positive, and hopefully sooner rather than later we will have a beautiful female leopard in our sights. I have kind of abandoned the wild dogs at this stage, but that's what happens out here. You make one plan and it doesn't take Mother Nature long to change your plans for you, but I'm happy with it in this situation because we haven't seen it in weeks. Oh, The monkeys have gone quiet again, which means she may have slunk off, like I said, in the opposite direction. Or she could well still be here. What to do, what to do. Far too far here to find her, considering where she was moving. Let's see if we can't find a little gap up here. There's two big dead trees that I've used as bearing points to help us establish. Yeah, we should be able to fit through here. Hold on, everyone. Watch out for the thorns on the left, Romeo. Okay, we are in a good spot here, folks, which is wonderful news. It's just so thick in here that if she is lying flat to the ground, we're going to battle to find her, but prospects are good. There's a nyala nearby. If we do find her, we may be able to watch her stalking these nyala. I can hear some rattling, testicular's alarm calling. It could be at anything, but I'm just going to head over there to investigate. Where are you hiding? Watch out, thorns both sides here, Romeo. You good? I'm just going to drive as far down this pathway where we did last see her moving. It's not going to be easy because it is very thick, but she could be lying up somewhere very nearby to us. All good? Romeo? Where on earth did she go? I'm going to try and squeeze through here, dude. It's our easiest option. No thorns, but lots of bushes. Oh, there goes my ear. Somebody's just asked a question. Alex will relay the name.
I think it's Dennis.
Dennis. Afternoon, Dennis, and welcome on board. Dennis is asking if vervet monkeys have predator-specific alarm calls. As far as I'm aware, the answer to that is no. They've got one standard alarm call that they let out at various different opportunities, depending on various different prey items, but they are not hugely different or notably different for different predators. It could be the case that the animals do have slightly different habits depending on where they actually are. But as far as I'm aware, they've only got one alarm call, and that's fairly standard. Okay. Gonna have to do some running repairs on the antenna. So we'll just wait here for a minute or two, folks. This leopard could very well be lying up close to these Inyala, waiting for cover of darkness, waiting for them to get potentially feed closer to her. So we will just wait here in the hope that she is lying up nearby them. And this would have been the female leopard tracks that we did see this morning, so that all does add up. Inyala do appear to be moving a little bit more than they have been, which is a good sign for us, because by moving they may be moving closer towards where she may be lying in ambush. So we could presume there's an increased chance of something happening if they do move off, but if they stand in the same little spots, it makes it a lot more difficult for her to approach. You can hear the Egyptian geese now alarm calling fairly insistently, so I'm just wondering if she hasn't slunk past us and is now somewhere down by the dam. There was certainly a general direction to head down towards the dam. I just find it hard to believe that she would have passed up this opportunity to try and catch one of these Inyala. But that is the beauty of nature. There's only so much we can assume and understand about them. Oops. Okay. Just going to do another general loop around the area, folks. She could be so far now if she had have kept on moving. But then again, she could be lying up anywhere. Right there, close to those Inyala. I'm just going to give an update on the radio to all the other vehicles as to what we've seen. And that may interfere with the broadcast to a degree, so if it does cut out temporarily, sorry about that, but we do need to let the other guys know about this. The station's a brief visual of what looked like Karula, just west of Vuyatila Dam, heading towards the dam. I just lost sight of it in thick vegetation there around the drainage line, but still keeping an eye out for her. Just hoping to see a little white bob of the back of her tail flickering. If she is flat to the ground, stalking these Inyala, that will be one of our best chances of finding her. Good evening, Tara. Welcome on board. Some of you may know Tara, folks. She was a presenter previously on Wild Earth, and she's busy watching and very happy that we did manage to get a glimpse of Karula. So afternoon, Tara. Welcome on board. Hope all is well wherever you are now. Well, now folks, I don't know what to suggest. I really felt strongly that we'd be able to find her again, but at the moment it's not looking like we are going to be so fortunate. So either we head off into the area of where the wild dogs were last seen this morning, which is a gamble, an equal gamble as to waiting here trying to find her, or keeping on looking in this area for her. So now these are the decisions we are faced with. I get back onto the road, check a little bit further ahead, and then come back here and see if we don't have any further luck. I think what may potentially have happened, and it is a speculation, is that she may have heard these monkeys alarm calling and then decided to move out of the area, preventing them from creating too much of a commotion. Just trying to see if I can't find any of her tracks heading down this road, which was the general direction she was heading in before she slunk off. The joy of finding a leopard, shortly followed by the frustration of losing one. That's the emotional roller coaster that we've just experienced, folks. So what I think we're going to do is take a minute off just to watch the beautiful clouds and sunsets and regroup. And after a minute or two of calm meditation, we will then continue with our mission. I'm just going to reverse back to where we were. There was quite a nice high point with which we can show you these beautiful clouds and sunsets, and then give Karula an opportunity to come to us as opposed to us looking for her. Okay. So I'm just going to spend a few minutes here listening, enjoying this beautiful scene. And that way, hopefully, we will be pleasantly surprised by Karula coming around the corner. Or even some more alarm calls. Maybe we hear those in Yala starting to alarm call, thus indicating that she was indeed still there hunting them. I'm not sure if anybody did manage to get a positive ID on that animal that we saw, but I'm fairly certain that it was Karula. Okay, just got a confirmation from Alex saying that a lot of people are agreeing that it was Karula. It was just so exciting coming around that corner and spotting her right there in the middle of the road. A brief but beautiful sighting. And with a bit of luck she will poke her nose out somewhere here. The good news is that we have hardly seen her on this property in the last few weeks. So the fact that she is tending to spend more time here is a great thing for us, because hopefully wherever she is hiding those cubs now, which could be here, but if she isn't, hopefully she's planning on bringing them back here. This is her usual territory and her usual home, and we're not sure exactly why she would have moved off to give birth. I learnt a lesson this afternoon, and that is that the area that she did hit into that I thought was impenetrable was actually penetrable. So I am pulling my hair out a little bit, and sorry for that misjudgment of mine. But that's what it's about. Life in general and safari life is the little learning curves that you get every day. And this certainly was one of them. I do know now that area that we've been searching through backwards and forwards. I know it very well, so that if we do have a future sighting there, I will be better equipped mentally and in order to show you guys every step of the journey. So far, all silence and no immediate sign that there's a predator in the area. And it's so interesting to look when you start looking into the alarm calls of monkeys and other animals. Dennis did ask a question earlier asking whether they do in fact alarm differently for different animals. As far as I'm aware and my experience, the answer to that is no, but other people may feel differently about that. But what was interesting about the monkeys' alarm calling was that the intensity wasn't too high, but I'm 99% sure, and I think it's fairly safe to assume that they were actually looking at her and not something else. They were looking exactly in the direction that she was moving in. And despite their help, despite the fact that we had seen her just minutes before, we still can't find her now. What is reassuring though, and good news in a way, is that the wild dogs have not been found and we are not missing out on any action there. It's not to say that we wouldn't have found them, but thankfully I am hearing nothing on the radio indicating that they are doing anything or actually have been found. So that's a little bit of peace of mind, because that was our initial plan, to go and look for them. What a beautiful evening it's turned into. I was concerned about rain coming in this evening. We had some very strong wind that picked up towards the end of the morning drive, and that can be an indicating factor that there is bad weather or rainy weather on the way. I keep saying bad weather, but it's not bad weather. It's bad weather for broadcasting, good weather for the environment. Okay, well, we shall continue. A little relaxing break. Was certainly relaxing, but sadly did not provide us with any intel that I was hoping it would, any alarm calls or noises that we could have heard. Okay. Come on, Karula. We've got a lot of people that would love to see you right now. So please do expose yourself. Wouldn't it just be wonderful if she came down to the edge of the water and drank for us? I'm just going to have one last look in this area, see if these Inyala are still here, and thereafter probably head out of this immediate area in case she has veered off after those monkeys started alarm calling in it. It is a potential. I've seen leopards intent on certain animals heading in a certain direction, and then as soon as monkeys or any animal starts alarming, they literally change direction and get out of there as quick as they can to prevent those alarm calls increasing and other animals jumping on the bandwagon and then everyone knowing about her presence. No sign of these Vinyala, or no immediate sign of them. Little scrub here in the road in front of us. So it would have just come out of its hiding place this evening. They are nocturnal, these scrub hares, and they just hide out in small bushes, undergrowth during the day. They, unlike rabbits, they don't live in burrows. That is one of the main characteristic differences between rabbits and hares. Rabbits also tend to have smaller ears and have got more of a hopping style of movement as opposed to a hare, which has got more of a running style of movements, as we will shortly see here, I think. There we go. It's so close to us. Look at that big eye. Now, I'm guessing that it thinks that we can't see it, but okay, what we're going to do is we're just going to continue in her general direction of movement, which was kind of south or south really, and in case she did slink off for those I'm calling, and we'll spend 10 minutes doing that and then come back and spend another 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes roughly, looking back in this area for her. But by now, since we've seen her last, it's probably been about half an hour. She could be a long way from where we are now, or she could simply be lying in that thick vegetation that we find comb to the best of our ability, but there certainly are more hiding places in that area that we couldn't sadly get any access to or visual of. Just double checking for any tracks here that may confirm that she has indeed already passed by through this area. But I doubt she would have been walking down the middle of this road in broad daylight. It's too open and too many animals would have been able to get a visual of her. But always worth double checking. Strong breeze has just picked up. And there are some beautiful clouds to the western horizon. Jason will pan across too slowly as we are moving here. Whoa, this wind is incredible. It really has just picked up. We may be in for some showers in the early hours of the morning. There is a considerable cloud bank building up to the south, and that is where we can expect the rain to come from. It really is exciting exploring these riverbed areas. Well, I find it exciting anyway. Watch out for the buffalo thorn here. What a beautiful evening. We've got some oxpeckers calling above us. That'll be the call you can hear. I think it's worth just taking a 30-second break here to enjoy the beautiful sky that we can see. The big marula tree in the foreground. these short little breaks also do aid us in being able to listen to the bush and hear any animals potentially alarm calling at what would be in most likelihood Karula, having just seen her in this area. Okie dokie. So folks, the clock is working against us now and we don't have too much longer before, sorry there's a little bug in the screen there, we don't have too much longer to go before this evening's drive comes to a close. But I'm hoping that in these last few minutes, Karula will grace us with her presence again for a second time this afternoon. If not, just good to know that she is back in the area. It was great to see tracks of a female leopard this morning, which was in all likelihood her, considering the proximity of the tracks to where we did find her this afternoon. And to whoever the Djuma waterhole zoomy is for the next few hours, they've got a fairly good chance that Karula will be in the area. So hopefully, if we don't have any luck, the waterhole camera will. And if those two options fail, well then I'll be sure to let Mark know about this and he will be on drive tomorrow morning. So maybe Mark will be able to work some of his magic to not only the bush in general but this specific property. And he does also know Karula far better than I do, so all of those factors that I've just mentioned make him a very good candidate for the leopard hunt tomorrow morning. In this low light, it's going to be even more tricky for us to spot her if she is lying down, but it doesn't go to say that she's not just going to pop out right in front of us as she did earlier. She was walking slap bang down the middle of the road straight towards us, which was a great surprise. It's actually the first time that that's happened to me since I've been here. It's been my first leopard sighting of that nature, where you're just driving down the road and next thing there they are. So that was a stroke of fortune and I'm very grateful for. It's now these Inyala that were here earlier appeared to have disappeared. on, Zanella, you can do this. What you probably can't do is take us any further than this. She's going to make for an interesting turning. So Jason thinks we got it. He's giving me some directions. Okay. It really is phenomenal how quickly they can disappear, these animals. Just wouldn't be so nice to just know where she was now, even if it didn't mean that we could see her, but just for peace of mind to know where she has decided to head off to and what caused her to exactly to change direction if she did.